Let's bring in another senator who was at that meeting with the president. Senator Shelley Moore Capito from West Virginia joins us now. Senator, you are known as a kind of a centrist Republican, so you got to be sympathetic to the concerns of folks like Bob Corker and Susan Collins. Do you think you will bring them along with you in voting in favor of tax reform?
Well, I think we're going to get this across the finish line this week. I think the gaps and questions are closing. People are listening to one another, and I feel very positive about the direction that we're going. I'm all in on this tax reform. I think that we have a chance to do something big and bold for this country, and I'm ready to do it, and I think the rest of the Senate is ready to join.
If Susan Collins says to you, I'm okay with everything except the Obamacare repeal of the individual mandate, if she says that's the deal breaker, you take that out and I'll vote in favor of the tax bill, would you take that out?
You know, I think you have to look at what would happen if it were to come out. So we would probably lose people on the other side. So I think we are looking at ways to make sure that they taking that the mandate out. I'm all for that. What are we saying? We're basically saying, if you don't buy insurance, we won't tax you. If you can't afford insurance, we won't tax you. I mean, that burden is a tax on middle-class earners, as we know.
Well, you're preaching to the converted, but I'm just wondering if it is a make or break deal breaker. And we had, by the way, Senator John Kennedy, on from Louisiana yesterday. He said, if that is a deal breaker, I would be willing to take it out. You're not willing to go that far.
Well, you know, I'm willing. I want the deal. I want us to seal the deal. And so if it has to come out to seal the deal, okay. But I don't believe that's going to happen. I think what maybe might be a better track is to have assurances that we're going to work on stabilizing the exchanges and that we're going to make it fair for hardworking folks to be able to afford insurance. And I think that's what Senator Collins, although I'll let her speak for herself, I think that's where she's most concerned.
Now, Bob Corker has this idea of a trigger. If we lose revenue as a result of tax cuts, and again, long term, I think that we usually gain revenue because of the extra economic activity, but if we lose revenue, he wants to put in a trigger to raise taxes again. Why not, instead of that, put in a trigger to lower the spending? I mean, that's another way to get the budget in balance.
That is another way, but the other thing I'm concerned about, a trigger, is that will it chill investment on the front end?
That's a good point.
Folks don't know what kind of tax relief they're going to have or for how long. And I think the whole point of this is to spur the economy, higher wages, more jobs, more opportunity for people. And so while I understand the concerns about the debt and deficit, I am fully on board with realizing that when we do this, the growth that we see from this, the modest estimates that we see, are going to be able to pull that $1.5 trillion into the plus column.
And finally, Senators Daines and Ron Johnson want more for the small business in this country, for the pass-throughs. He wants it to be equal to what the big corporations are getting. Do you think that's fair?
Well, small business drives this country, and I think that it's a concern that has been raised. It's also a moving target. It's being worked on right now to try to close that gap and make sure that it does help the small business owners. I think we're going to be able to solve that problem, and when we move to the floor and into the conference.
Senator Daines, as you just heard, was pretty optimistic. I guess there's some horse trading going on. Is that 20% rate for the corporate tax going to remain, or will it come up a little to give more to the small businesses?
You know, I think the 20% rate is pretty solid. I haven't heard any discussion of moving that up. There are other moving parts to this, and I think we could move some numbers around to make sure that the pass-through entities are treated well, which I think they are, but I think if there's still a question, we can solve that problem.
Senator Capito, very, very good for you to join us. We appreciate you being here. Thanks a lot. Good luck.